Hello everyone, how are we all doing today? It's another video where we go through every single Prem game and I'll go through some stats and I'll give my recommended tip for each game. Now we're doing things a little bit different in this one. We are doing every single game in one video, so that's Saturday's games, Sundays, and then also the Monday night game. So we're in November now, we've got a whole month ahead of us of betting, so yeah, let's start with a good weekend. It's game week 11. So this is the 4th of November to the 6th of November. And let's dive in. So we're starting off with Fulham versus Man United. And this is the early kickoff. Head to head. Now head to head is interesting. Fulham have a very, very poor record against Man U. In their last 22 games head to head, they've only won 2. And Man U have 17 wins and then 3 draws. The last time they beat Man United was in 2009, so it's been a long time. Fulham are doing okay at home. In their last 5 games at home, they've only lost the 1 game. Man United's form overall hasn't been great. It's turned around a little bit, but then they lost to City 3-0. Away from home, they were on a run of losing 3 games in a row. But their last 2, they have won. They beat Burnley and they beat Sheffield. 20 out of the last 22 head-to-heads have ended in over 1.5 goals, and 16 of them were over 2.5 goals, so we should see goals in this game. And I know Gandhi always says never back the early kickoff, but I am doing it for this one, and I'm going for the Man United win with odds of 1.83 purely because of that head-to-head record they've got against them. Fulham they just can't seem to beat Man U, and I can't see this one being any different. And with them high odds, I think it's worth it. So Man United win 1.83. Next, we have Man City versus Bournemouth. This is going to be a bad one for Bournemouth. Man City have won all the last 13 head-to-heads against Bournemouth. Man City scored 4 goals in each of the games last season against them. Bournemouth are conceding goals like no tomorrow, whilst Man City are just scoring for fun, basically. The odds are very low for most markets, as you can expect. Even with a -1 handicap for Man City, the odds are only 1.3, which are just not really worth it. So this one, I've gone a little bit different. I've gone for Man City to win both halves. So they've got to be winning by half-time, and then when it kicks off again, for the second half, it's basically 0-0 again, and they've got to win that half. Pretty straightforward, and the odds of that are 1.83. Next, we have Brentford versus West Ham. I really wish I didn't have to do this game. I've got to think more with my mind rather than my heart on this one. In the last 5 head-to-heads, Brentford have won 4 and West Ham just the 1. So they're a bit of a bogey team for us. We haven't won in 4 games in a row now, West Ham. We're really struggling. Like, on paper, we've got a really good team, but at the moment, the last 4 games, something's not right. We can't string like 2 or 3 passes together. We lose the ball really quickly, and when teams sit deep, we really struggle to break them down, and I'd imagine that's what Brentford will do against us. They'll sit back, they'll hold a lot of the ball, and when we get the ball, they're going to sit right at the back, and we just don't know what to do with it. We need teams to attack us, so I don't know. If Brentford do their homework, they'll sit deep. But if they attack us, then we might have a chance. But we'll see. Brentford were on bad form, but they turned it around recently, beating Burnley and Chelsea. I won't go with my heart on this one. With how we've performed recently and Brentford getting 2 good wins, plus our poor head-to-head record, I'll be putting Brentford to win at 1.91. Which is pretty sad, but there we go. Next, we have Everton versus Brighton. Everton's home form this season has been pretty poor. They've only won 1 out of the last 5, but the win they did get out of the 5 was their most recent, and that was a 3-0 win against Bournemouth. And they're also coming into this game with a bit of confidence after beating West Ham away from home 1-0. Now Brighton, they're a bit hit and miss this year. Brighton have been pretty poor away from home. They've got no wins in their last 4 away games. Head-to-heads, they're pretty equal. Everton have 6 wins, Brighton have 4 wins, and there's been 2 draws. There's been a lot of goals in both the games last year. Weirdly enough, at Everton, Brighton won 4-1, and then in the reverse fixture, when Brighton went to Everton, it was 5-1 to Brighton, which is quite odd. So I think this game will be pretty close, and I can see both teams scoring, and the odds of this are 1.44. Next up, we have Burnley versus Crystal Palace. Burnley have been dreadful at home, especially. They've played 5 games so far, and they've lost all of them. Palace's away form is okay. They've won 2 out of the last 5. However, their most recent away game was a 4-0 loss to Newcastle. And this is where it gets quite cool. Now, I do expect goals in this game. 4 out of the 5 home Burnley games, they've all ended in over 2.5 goals. And 4 out of the 5 away games for Palace have also ended in over 2.5 goals. So with that in mind, we're going for over 2.5 goals. And odds for this, I'm quite surprised, are 2.1. That's pretty good considering the stats. So yeah, I'll be going for that. Next we have Sheffield versus Wolves. Sheffield sit bottom of the table, not moving, with just the 1 point. It's not looking good for them. Wolves are 12th with 12 points. Wolves have won 2 out of their last 5 away games, and in all games they haven't lost in 4 at the moment. So they're on a bit of form at the moment. No losses in 4. So with this game, I do think it will be a bit close. However, just considering how Sheffield are doing this year, with their 1 point, bottom of the table, there's just nothing going for them at the moment. So I've got to go with a Wolves win, and their odds are 1.83. Now we go on to Newcastle versus Arsenal. That's the last game on the Saturday. And it's a good one. It's a good game, that. I'm looking forward to it. Arsenal have got a very good record against Newcastle. From the last 30 head-to-heads, Arsenal have won 23 of them. And in this fixture last year, Arsenal won 2-0. Newcastle are very strong at home. They've only lost 1 Prem game at home, and that was against Liverpool, and that was back in August. Their last home game was in the Champions League, where they lost against Dortmund, but they put in a good performance. It's a similar situation with Arsenal. They haven't lost away from home yet, apart from in the Champions League, and that was against Lens. In the last 6 head-to-heads, there has not been 1 game where both teams have scored, which is pretty interesting. So this game's really hard to choose a tip. I can't decide on an outright winner, but going with that head-to-head stat where in 6 games there hasn't been 1 where both have scored, and the odds of that happening in this game are so high at 2.2, I'm going to go with that. So both teams not to score with odds of 2.2. So that's all the Saturday games. Before we move on to the Sunday games, I'll quickly mention the Telegram account. It's completely free. The link is in the bio. The most recent tip I gave was Bradford City versus Man City under 21s. I'll let you guys know about the record they both have with scoring goals. Man City's last 23 games have all ended in over 2.5 goals, which is crazy. I said the odds sit at about 1.5 for over 2.5 goals, and that was pre-match. I said maybe wait a little bit and see what happens. To be fair, the game didn't start off that lively. However, once the first goal went in, that was it. And they kept coming, and it ended 3-0. So, yeah, I think a few people jumped on that. Over 2.5 goals, or even the first half goal, which I recommended doing. So remember, guys, that group is free. The link is in a bio. It's on Telegram. Just click that, join, and I'll see you in there. So the Sunday games, we start with Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa. So head-to-head, we've always seen a lot of goals. 7 out of the 8 have ended in over 1.5 goals, and 5 out of the 8 have ended in over 2.5 goals. And out of the 8, 5 were both teams scoring. So a lot of goals. Aston Villa are great in front of the goal at the moment. In their last 3 games, they've scored 4 goals against West Ham, they scored 4 against Alkmaar, and then they scored 3 against Luton. Forest have conceded in every home game this season, and Villa have scored in every away game this season, including cup games, except just 1 game, and that was against Liverpool. So, some mad stats. So for this one, I'm going for, because Villa are just on fire at the moment, banging in goals, I'm going for Villa to score 2 or more goals, and the odds of that are 1.73. Now on to the next game on Sunday. There's only 2 on Sunday. We have Luton versus Liverpool. Now I feel sorry for Luton on this one. They haven't won in 4 games, but they've played away in their last 2 games. So they're probably hoping to come back home and back to their fortress and get some points. But they look on the fixture list and it's against Liverpool. And let's face it, Liverpool are on fire at the moment. They're scoring lots of goals. They're winning loads of games. And yeah, they're doing well. So there's not too much to say about this one. With Liverpool scoring goals for fun and Luton letting in goals like no tomorrow. We're going with a Liverpool win with a -1 handicap, so they've got to win by 2 or more goals, and the odds are 1.67. Now we go on to the tasty Monday night game, Tottenham versus Chelsea. That's a good one. So Spurs are on fire this season. They sit top of the table with 26 points. By the time Monday comes, they might have dropped down if Arsenal and City win, but this is their chance to go back top if they win this against Chelsea. Anyway, Chelsea on the other hand, they're not doing so well. Very hit or miss. They look like they were turning their season around. They got a couple of wins and then they go and lose their last game. So yeah, Spurs are unbeaten this season in all games. Chelsea have started picking up points away from home. In their last 3 games, they beat Burnley, Fulham, and they got a draw against Bournemouth. But they're not the toughest of games, are they really? So this Tottenham game is going to be a big challenge. Spurs beat Chelsea in this fixture last year 2-0. And to be honest, I can see the same thing happening this year. So I'm going for a Spurs straight win with 1.91. Just to mention, I've mentioned it a few times in my other videos, when I do straight win bets, my odds are always slightly lower than normal. That's because Betfair do a promotion for 90 minutes. So if Spurs are winning 1-0 on the 89th minute and it hits 90, my bet will win, even if Chelsea score after 90th minute and ends 1-1. It doesn't matter. I still win my bet. So that's why I get lower odds, because it gives you a little bit of a cushion. So as always, I've put all these selections into an ACCA, and the odds of this are 431. So if you put a tenner on it, which I will, the return is 4,300 and something. So over £4,300 from a tenner. Like I say with all my accumulators on here, only do them if you've got a bit of spare cash on the side and you don't mind losing it, because the odds are really high for a reason. It's very, very unlikely to happen. Or if you have a free bet to use, and you could chuck it on here. What I do recommend is you pick some selections and you do doubles. Some people asked what a double is. So out of all these 10, pick 2 and put them together and it'll be over double your money. Okay, so pick out 2 you like, do some further research, then place a bet. Make sure you join the free Telegram channel. The link is down there. If you click that, on Saturday, I will give you my 2 selections of what I'll be doing for a double. My success rate's pretty good on that, and that's for free. So get in there and I'll let you guys know. And then I might give you something on the Sunday as well, but it won't just be them 2 games. I'll look at Championship and Italy, Spain, whatever. So yeah, get in there. Comment below what bets you're doing this weekend. Let me know. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the ones I've chosen. And if you're new around here, make sure you hit subscribe, because if you enjoy football betting, there's no better place to be. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.